morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the We Are Family Pittsburgh Sports Podcast. I'll tell you what, we're cooking in a lot of ways. This is the best sports month of the year. Thank you for following us on X, Instagram, TikTok. If you aren't following us, handles are in the description. We post our NFL picks every week in our contest. Jake Bell doing very, very well. Me and Nate.
We're
Not
not
so much.
going to talk about my week last week, although somebody posted on the Twitter to mock me and disrespect.
Well,
unnecessarily.
I mean,
didn't have to do that.
You don't have to. There's no specific individuals. It is the page itself, which is all of us.
Well,
so
I
the
certainly
page
didn't put it up there.
The page has to tell the people what happened, and the pigeon Nathan Schivins did not have a good week. Now, I didn't have a good week either, but he did worse.
Well, he
somehow.
didn't have a good week either, but the page did not post that.
No, yeah, I did. I posted mine. I posted mine before yours, before your pick. So everyone can see that I didn't do well.
My mistake.
We're going to start this podcast off with some baseball because there's a lot going on. Where do we want to begin? Do we want to? Let's talk about the series that have closed.
We got to talk about Phillies Dodgers.
Yes, let's get into that.
Because the Phillies just did not come to play at home. I don't know what it was. I mean, their offense, we look at it, it's highly touted. I don't think it's quite what the Dodgers have, but it's very good in its own right. And at home just did not come to play. And when you lose 2 games at home in a 5-game series, best of 5, you're facing a really, really uphill climb. And for the Phillies to dominate in Game 3, you're like, okay, now how much of that was like the Dodgers saying, like, we got 2 already,
I think they were flat.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought in Kershaw there.
Yeah, and they didn't even have him on the roster initially. So, and then for this game, this past game, Christopher Sanchez dominates. I can't remember if he got through 7 or if he pitched he was definitely in the 7th inning, and he was just pitching really well. But your offense musters 4 hits. I mean, they got their 4 hits early, and they got literally like no hits for several innings straight, and just nothing happening against Dodgers pitchers who have a lot of talent, some of them, but haven't performed, to where maybe they could be or should be so far, like throughout the season. Somebody like Roki Sasaki has some flashes, but hasn't been consistent. But he's been great.
That's a great move because the back end of their bullpen has been an issue. Blake Trinan and what's his name, Tanner Scott.
Tanner Scott's been
not
bad.
Not good.
Yeah.
So I think making him the closer solidifies the back end of that bullpen, and you still have guys like Alex Vesia who come in and pitch well, and they have so much starting pitching depth that they can do. They had in Game 1, they had Glasnow come in. Was that a bullpen game, or did who first pitched in that game? I forget. But
they have Emmett Sheehan coming in later. So that's what happens when you do have that really good starting rotation depth. You can, in the playoffs, you can move them to the bullpen and get big outs.
And that's what the Phillies did in yesterday's game, and it worked for them.
Yeah.
But their offense, didn't show up. And look, we could talk about that final play. The basic
Shouldn't
conclusion.
have got to that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The basic conclusion is he panicked. It's one of the all-time worst ways to be eliminated, but that isn't what ended the Phillies season. What ended the Phillies season was blowing a 3-0 game in Game 1. And despite them having the starting pitching depth, you're going to have to use relievers. And to me, they only had, looking at their roster, 2 or 3 really good relievers. And I don't think that's enough. And especially now in the Game 5 series, you can get a 5-game series, you can get away with it, but not so much in a 7-game series.
Especially with Wheeler out too,
right?
Because then you try to move some of your elite stars to the bullpens at times, but then you're like, oh geez, we don't have that depth that we once did. And obviously Taijuan Walker used to be a starter, but then his ineffectiveness, they moved him to the pen. And really, he only comes in. He came in
That's
Game
right,
3 in a blowout game just to get outs, So, it's just the Phillies it's interesting. Remember, they beat up on the Braves those 2 years in the playoffs. when they were in the wild card game and the Braves had that time off, and the Braves are, this time off hurt us.
Yeah.
And now the Phillies are in the position where they had that time off, but the Dodgers played barely. I mean, they just destroyed. It was a cakewalk against the Reds, but they played a little bit more recently, and then so I don't think there's really anything to that, but it's just like an interesting thing now. You live by the sword, then you die by the sword, almost in a sense.
Well, the thing with the Phillies is that, I mean, who knows what happens next year? Like Schwarber and Romuto, I believe both of them are free agents. I assume they're going to try to bring one or the other. I doubt they're going to be able to bring both back. So then, but like, what if there's the case that you bring none of them back? People are saying, oh, they might have to blow it up soon. But at the same time, if you blow it up and then you rebuild, I assume that you're not going to trade Harper. By the time you rebuild, and by the time that rebuild may or may not be done, Harper's going to be pushing 40. So is it worth to rebuild? I don't know. They're in a tough spot.
They still have the starting pitching to rebuild.
It just all depends. Because Wheeler's going to retire soon. I mean, his contract's running up too. So there's just a lot of decisions they have to make.
He has 2 more years. And then he said he would retire. You
have to wonder if their window is closed. And you have to wonder, like, was this Philadelphia team really that great? Because I picked them to go to the World Series. You know, you make a bracket last minute and... Then I looked at their roster and I'm like, yes, they got Yohan Duran, but their bullpen depth, once again, it's the same issues. Their bullpen depth just isn't that good. I mean, that's what's prevented them in the past in the playoffs. And then I looked at their lineup, and it's like, yeah, their top 4 is excellent. But after that, where's the depth? Like, I look at some of these teams like the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, even the Brewers. Like, the depth of these lineups are outstanding. And I'm looking at the Phillies, and it's like, Max Kepler. Well, he has power, but he's hitting 217, and that's your 6th hitter. Like,
he's more of a platoon option than an everyday option.
Well, also Castellanos just such an issue.
I got to say something. Yeah, Castellanos, he's got to go. If they want to get some money to go after free agents and possibly try and bid for Kyle Schwarber, get This is the last year of his contract coming up. He's constantly underperformed with this team, and now they go down 0-2. You got to have a positive attitude down 0-2. And what's he's giving some speech to the media about how, oh, it's tough to play in Philly, and oh, the Red October can work against you. Well, you know what? Shut up. That has nothing to do with anything. That has nothing to do with your performance on the field. Nothing. That's not an excuse. Like, you knew what you were getting into when you signed a 5-year deal with the Phillies. You know what Philadelphia crowds are like. Don't say anything about it. Once he said that, I was like, this team's done. They're done. That's bad mojo. You can't be saying that.
Well,
he's got to go.
Well, even though next year will be his last year of the deal, which would make a trade easier, is there going to be a team that's going to be willing to even spend the money this season to have him? I don't know, because I
think the Phillies would have to eat some of it, potentially.
Yeah, that's true.
But I just think they need to upgrade. I mean, it's just, I'd rather eat a little bit of money than spend $20 million or whatever they're paying him for a guy who's going to hit 240, 250.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's literally a league average hitter in terms of OPS plus OPS. So, like,
well, yeah. He just at the end of the year, which I was kind of concerned about going into the playoffs, him and Rob Thompson had a kind of falling out. It looked to be a falling out. And they weren't speaking to each other like at all.
Oh, really?
Thompson wasn't starting Castellanos. I remember in Arizona, Castellanos was making having a hissy fit kind of about it. And he's like, I don't talk to Rob or whatever. And Rob Thompson's like, I talk to my players if I need to talk to them about something,
he's gone.
And he wasn't performing, and he's somebody you feel like if he's going good, like that Philly crowd and everything could help him, but he was going bad and everything, and I think it was just like in his head.
Yeah. And
he's not good enough to be talking as much as he's talking like this season. So, it definitely looks like they're going to part ways this offseason. But I think a big thing, I think at full strength, their lineup isn't the deepest, but it can be deep. Like Bader was playing really well at the end of the season for the Phillies. He gets hurt in Game 1. And he was like the best hitter almost for the Phillies in September.
You lose that defensive element too that you need in the play. You need outfielders that are going to steal doubles, and that's what he can do very well.
Yeah, that was their thing. Like they needed a center fielder who could hit a little bit, and then so they bring in Bader, who's playing left for Minnesota because Buxton moves to center with Philly, and everybody was raving about him. He gets hurt in Game 1, can't play in Game 2, and I don't know if he played Game 3.
He pinched hit yesterday, but he didn't do anything.
Yeah, and but he wasn't like himself at all. You could tell, and he was kind of like a spark plug for that team through the dog days and like September, and I think his not having him hurt, especially there was a lot of lefties like Vesia when the Dodgers brought him in. I think Vader struck out. I think that was the at bat he struck out against Vesia, but if you had him in more consistently, I think he had good numbers against Vesia, so that at bat would have been different, but. Yeah, it was just a lot of things. Like the Phillies, like everything kind of was in their favor this year. The Dodgers, down, all their injuries throughout the season. Philly, get your home environment, which I think the bank is one of the best in baseball. They show up, when the Phillies are good every game.
I mean, the question, I don't know if I said this or not, maybe being a repeater right now, because I went on a Castellanos tangent. I forgot to say what I was going to say, which was, were the Phillies actually a great team this year, or did they take advantage of an NL East that just had a completely down year? I mean, the Mets, I predicted it coming in. They're a mess. They're just a mess. Like, the pitching wasn't going to withstand all season. Juan Soto, it's kind of a distraction in the beginning of the season. They just didn't have the same team chemistry. I feel like bringing in Soto with that big contract. I think, things will work out eventually with Soto. Like, they'll make noise, but I thought for that first year, so they had a really down year. I mean, they just collapsed completely. And the Braves had their worst year this century. I mean, the Braves, and there were weeks at a time where the Miami Marlins of all teams, who we all thought were going to be just one of the worst teams in baseball, potentially the worst in baseball coming in, they look like the second best team in that division. So, I think the Phillies, and once the Mets collapsed, right, the Phillies didn't have much to fight for. And I noticed that with some of these teams, they don't have anything to fight for at the end of the season. They come into the postseason kind of flat. Like, we saw that with some of those Braves teams that had huge leads in their division. Like, what are they playing for in September? And then they come into October flat. So, yeah, so that's all I was saying, like, is how great are they? How great really were they in that division?
I think they were good.
I mean, they're good, but...
Yeah. I think they were about where they should have been because their rotation was elite this season.
Yeah, and then losing Wheeler obviously was a big issue, like you mentioned about that, so that's also something to keep out. But still, I mean, I felt like I still had them winning the World Series for a reason. I still like I know their roster wasn't as significant as maybe a Dodgers, but I felt maybe injuries would pile up, maybe the inconsistencies, but really the Phillies bullpen was way more just inconsistent at times.
Well, like, the thing with the Phillies bullpen, like, it honestly was probably the best it's been in years.
Yeah.
Still not great, though.
Yeah.
And my thing is, like, in the playoffs, if you have, like, 4, like, rock-solid, reliable relievers, like, you're set. If the Phillies, it would be 2-2 heading back to Philly, if they score any runs in the first 9 innings. The Phillies bullpen is not built to withstand extra innings, whereas the Dodgers have that starting pitching depth. They can throw somebody in the bullpen, to facilitate and to go through those innings. And the Phillies, like Strom, Kerkering, like those Duran, those are 3, like, those are solid, reliable guys. Mm-hmm. And they used them, and they were. And Luzardo, I think Luzardo, he had that start, and he was excellent. And
yesterday, I mean, he was mowing them down.
Yeah, and he's been, either he'll have a great game or he just has the worst. Like, he'll give up 7 runs in 2 innings, but, like, yeah.
So I think they were missing maybe one. Maybe if Alvarado was not suspended, this season and was eligible for the playoffs, there might have been a different result yesterday. But you got to score runs, and ultimately they didn't do that in a game where all the pressure is on them to keep it going. So I don't even there was Kerkering, like, if he was just throwing the first, but the issues are way beyond that. For this Phillies team in that series.
Well, I want to talk about the Dodgers real quick.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone kind of had wishful thinking. I think there was a lot of people on the Phillies. And I think everyone's been kind of on the Phillies. There was a lot of wishful thinking that, well, the Dodgers, they didn't have the best year for them anyway. Like, they didn't win 95-plus games.
And they didn't have very good momentum. They were just 500, like, in the second half.
And they barely won their division. And they've had injuries. But this reminds me of last year. Yes, they had a lot more wins last year, but they had a lot of injuries. And now everyone's kind of coming back. The pitching's coming together. Blake Snell, Glasnow. I mean, when these guys are healthy, they're tough to hit. And then you add on Yamamoto. And Dave Roberts, a great move, putting Sasaki in the bullpen. And they took 3 out of 4 from a Phillies team without Ohtani. I totally lost my train of thought. Without Ohtani doing much of anything.
Yeah.
Like,
they get one hit.
I got to be honest,
Yeah.
like, I don't see this team losing to anybody. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, and we'll get into these other series, but, like, this was their biggest obstacle, I think. And I think a lot of people were hopeful that the Phillies were going to we don't want the Dodgers to win again, but the Dodgers, they take care of business.
They do.
They take care of business. They come together at the right time. They get healthy at the right time. And that's all you need. You don't need to be the best regular season team.
Well, they're the
when
most
you have the
talented
talent,
team.
when you have the talent that they do.
Well, whenever I chose the Phillies for the World Series, I was mainly thinking more of these guys know that this could be their last chance.
The desperation.
The desperation. I thought that was a big key factor, but at the end of the day, whenever you're a Dodgers team that has some like incredible pitching if healthy, like, I mean, how are you going to be a rotation with Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Yamamoto, whenever Ohtani's pitching and if he's pitching well? It's just that's incredibly tough. Like, there's organizations that have never had one of those 4 type of pitchers ever, let alone in one team. So it's very tough. So.
And also, Kike Hernandez, he's just incredible. Like, he's getting pitched around from the 8 spot.
Why are you walking him? Yeah, they kept walking him.
They were walking
well, I
him.
mean, he's incredible.
Why is he's always on their team? Like, he
Yeah.
doesn't even do anything. He's just there.
He's a playoff performer.
Well, and he plays a lot of different positions, I guess.
Yeah, but it was
I
just.
kind of look up his postseason
It was
numbers.
interesting. Dave Roberts, he did maneuver his lineup around in the regular season almost every game. It was Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Hernandez, Rapaez, but he moved them around where it was Ohtani, Betts, Hernandez, and Freeman was in different spots in the lineup at times. And Paz actually was at the bottom of the lineup.
I've never really liked Ohtani leading off because I think he should be driving in runs, but
you want him up as many times as you can.
Yeah.
That is true.
There's different ways to look at it. But yeah, just the Dodgers, I didn't think they were spectacular in this series, but the Phillies I just thought were flat almost when they really, the stakes were so, couldn't have been higher for them. And here, like you were saying, Jake, it's a pivot point for the Phillies as a franchise. I think they still have a lot of pieces, obviously getting Wheeler back.
Yeah.
That starting rotation is going to keep them as a contender no matter what, and with Harper and Turner. And you got to bring Schwarber
where
back.
was Mr. Bryce Harper, though? Where's he been
I
this
thought
year?
he was going to kill it
Where's he
October.
been? I mean,
a lot of
Yeah.
pop-outs.
Yeah.
he's supposed to be the face of the franchise, and yet Kyle Schwarber was the one leading this team, not Bryce
Kyle
Harper.
Schwarber is going to have way more MVP votes than Harper if Harper gets any. This
Oh, yeah,
year.
Harper
No,
was very
no.
pedestrian.
So he was
this
very
year. I think
pedestrian,
He hit 260.
Yeah. Well,
And then he didn't show up in the playoffs.
He has the slugging and the OPS to technically make up for it, but no, he's Kyle Schwarber was their best offensive player, no question.
You know,
Trey Turner didn't do much of anything.
when he
Yeah.
signed that
Nobody
contract,
really did.
Yeah.
his legacy, he put his legacy in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He made it to the World Series, but they lost in 5 games. Blew a 3-2 lead to Arizona, a young Arizona team. They had, at least one chance, maybe 2 chances to close it out at home. Didn't do it. And now, pretty much get dominated by the Dodgers. So, and this was in his prime years and the prime years of this core that they have. So, he's going to have to really step it up.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to, this was the year they needed him to be great, and he wasn't.
Well, there's a big question with Harper now because he's had those injuries. He really doesn't look like the same player, and he's getting up there. It's a long contract, and his age. I mean, he's been around so long, but he's always been him and Mike Trout. They've been around so long, but they're 32 or 33.
Yeah.
I mean, they came up at the same time. So.
But he's getting up there, and those injuries speed up almost your age in the game of baseball. In any sport, really. So it's going to be interesting. It was an old team already, and Schwarber, like Remuto. There's a question of what you do there at catcher because I think Remuto's kind of on the decline a little bit, at least offensively.
Yeah.
But he's kind of a staple of that team, of that locker, of that clubhouse. So it's going to be very interesting for the Phillies. But as for the Dodgers, I mean, there was no denying why was everybody saying in the offseason going into the season could the Dodgers compete with the Mariners for the most wins in a regular season in history, and that's because they're one of the most talented teams any of us have ever seen, and you knew they were going to be dangerous in the playoffs, and they're showing it now. And I agree, Peyton. I think they are. The Phillies might have been their toughest challenge. We'll see if whoever comes out of Brewers Cubs. I think the Brewers stack up pitching wise with the Cubs in some ways. And they're just feisty. The Brewers are, but the Cubs could. I mean, it's Game 5 now, going back to Milwaukee.
We want to talk about that series. We'll stick in the NL.
Well, I was gonna make my final point just to how, and then whoever they face in the American League, the Dodgers are gonna, if they make the World Series, are gonna be.
They're gonna be favored.
Yeah.
So, it is interesting now. The Dodgers who. It was crazy. Like, I was worried about this series, like, because I had the Phillies in the World Series but I was like, the Dodgers could easily win this and just make me look like a fool, which I've looked like continuously in these predictions.
Same here.
I've gotten, like, almost every series wrong except the Yankees and the wild card. But, yeah, no, I mean, the Dodgers, I mean, they're very talented. They got depth. They're going to be dangerous.
Yeah, Cubs, Brewers. Milwaukee. You can't choke again in the division series or wild card. You can't do this. I know that they have a young team and that they're going to be fine in the future. But how many times are you going to be in this spot where you have home field advantage in the National League and you're up 2-0 in the series? How many times are you going to get this again? You don't know what the future holds. And they got to win this Game 5. The pressure is so much on the Brewers right now, and I'm rooting for the Brewers because if the Cubs win this series, they'll be lucky to get to 6 games against the Dodgers.
I agree.
Their starting pitching depth is bad. It's bad. And Shota and Matthew Boyd in the last month have not been good. Now Matthew Boyd was great yesterday, but they have not been very good. They do not stack up against the Dodgers. Their lineup, I mean, Crow Armstrong and Tucker, I mean, especially Tucker, it hasn't been good.
No.
It hasn't been good.
Especially for a free agency year, you expect Tucker to, actually...
He's losing millions of dollars, every day,
100%.
Every time he goes out there.
Tucker, you're a Pittsburgh buyer.
Honestly, maybe that's a good thing that he's struggling right now.
Yes.
But yeah, this Cubs team, I'm just not... they don't feel like a pennant type of team right now. But it's a 5-game series. Give them credit. What's kept them alive is their bullpen. I mean, these 2 games they've won, their bullpen has been lights out.
Yeah.
Lights out.
Absolutely.
And the best bullpens win advance in the playoffs, and that's why the Cubs are in this series still. But And why I'm nervous for the Brewers, though, is Freddie Peralta, I feel like they should have saved him in case there was a Game 5, because he's a much better pitcher at home than he is on the road. So I'm nervous, and I don't want to see the Dodgers just cakewalk the Brewers or the Cubs in 5 games. I want to see a competitive championship series, and I think the Brewers can give them that. And it would be such a great storyline because the Brewers, I mean, not a big payroll. Trade off
Nobody
a lot of
expected
pieces,
anything
and it's
really,
it would truly be David versus Goliath. But David has some fight though. He would have some fight, so I want to see that happen. Rooting for the Brewers.
Yeah.
I looked to see if the pitchers were announced yet. No, the game's Saturday.
Tomorrow,
It's
Saturday.
So they haven't announced anything yet, but. Yeah, it is interesting. The Brewers, they look like, they won those. We've seen a lot of these, swings in these series where the Brewers, they go up 2-0 at home, and they're looking really good. Or you steal a road game, you got it. But they were, Game 3, they just didn't have it. And then this Game 4, they were completely lifeless. I mean, it felt like that Ian Happ homer just took air completely out of the balloon.
Which is rare for this Brewers team because every time you punch them in the face this year, they've punched back. We saw that in Game 1. In Game 2, the Cubs would get a run or two, and then the Brewers would just come back and take the lead, just like that. Like, their lineup, their bat-to-ball skills, unbelievable. And in that Game 4, the Cubs got 4 runs Game 3, they got 4 runs in the first inning. Didn't do anything the rest of the game. And they had 8 chances to take the lead in that game, and you got to give the Cubs bullpen credit.
Well, with the Brewers, I mean, they're doing what all small mark teams should be doing with their offense, like you mentioned, with guys with great bat-to-ball skills. You shouldn't be worried about walks unless you have players that can hit 40 to 50 home runs, in my opinion. If you can't be a consistent power hitter, you have to learn how to hit the ball consistently, and that's what the Brewers have been able to do. Other than Yelich has some power, I'd say Jackson Chourio a little bit. But overall, that's not a team with power. They hit the ball very well. They're willing to risk, not walking as much so that they can maybe, drive a runner in whenever there's a runner on second rather than just take the walk, make it first and second. Who knows what happens next? That's why they're winning games, honestly. It's just because they're not trying to be the Dodgers, who have Shohei Ohtani walking almost 100 times, or the Phillies with Kyle Schwarber walking almost 100 times. Those are 2 different players than the Brewers will ever have. But they're doing their own thing, and that's what small market teams should do. You have to have teams that are just pesky, that are just gonna do these little things to manufacture runs instead of trying to go for the long ball. So.
Yeah, I think this is. I mean, you were saying all the pressures on the Brewers. I still think Craig Counsell.
Well,
you gotta win that game. I feel like, and I feel like the Cubs more was expected out of them this season, but now
But the Brewers are the better team.
Yeah.
Right now, and I know, and so you can't. I get what you're saying, though. I do agree.
Know. I don't know. Who the better team is at this? The Brewers go again this season.
They have a deeper lineup, much better pitching, starting pitching overall.
But the Cubs have higher end hitters.
Yeah, but none of them are doing anything.
In any moment. I do agree. I had the Brewers. I had them go pretty far here. But, it will be interesting. It's a big Game 5. There's so many storylines. Obviously, it's like a rivalry, kind of. It's one of those things where, the Cubs no, the Cardinals are our rival, and the Brewers you're our rival, and everything. But now that's kind of become more of a rivalry with the Cardinals being mediocre now. But, and with Craig Counsell going from Milwaukee.
I think for Craig Counsell, I think the pressure was on him in Game 3. Because if you get swept by the team that you left and you're getting all millions and millions, is he the highest paid manager, I think?
He's up there.
He's definitely up there. Yeah.
And you get swept by the team, that would have been embarrassing. But now you've showed that your team can fight back. And now the pressure is on the Brewers because they had that too.
What if the Brewers blow out the Cubs in Game 5? What is Craig Counsell what is that mindset looking like? I don't know. It's just there's
the Brewers
have.
They have owned him, but now's the chance to turn the tide.
And the Brewers have owned the Cubs at home. The Cubs have kind of not even owned, but they've been the better team against the Brewers when they're at home in Wrigley. So it was really nice to see again, Wrigley, with a playoff atmosphere and everything, with big games, because we haven't seen that in years now. Since that little run the Cubs had, obviously winning the World Series and getting the NLDSs and CSs 8 years ago, but
I did mention the Brewers. I wrote this down. Yes, they have the great starting pitching depth, but I think it's not. I think them missing Woodruff is a big deal.
Yeah.
Because they're counting on Quinn Priester, and we know how good he is. He's been, but he didn't strike out. How's he gonna be in the playoffs? And yesterday. Or was that game? Which game was it?
Game 3.
Okay, well, he didn't really show up.
Yeah. For the Brewers,
he didn't make it out of the first inning.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Priester, because he doesn't strike out as many people, that actually makes it worse for the Brewers because whenever you're facing a team that has guys that strike out a lot, like Seiya Suzuki, he's one of them that strikes out a ton. You need to have that power pitcher like a Freddie Peralta, like a Brandon Woodruff. Quinn Priester, I think, can still be solid against the Cubs, but that puts them more at a disadvantage because he's going to allow more contact. That's just the reality, and that's what the Cubs need. They can't be facing a power pitcher in this situation.
Well, they tried to do the Priester Quintana piggyback.
Yeah.
But if they get to the CS, I don't
Priester
know.
and Dodger
Yeah.
Stadium.
I mean, are we starting Quintana or are we starting Priester? Because Quintana has he's the more experienced
But he's-
veteran pitcher.
Yeah, it's literally like Moneyball, but like two different, or not Moneyball, Major League, where it's like two different like pitchers, but like same scenario.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Anything else I'd like to talk about Tigers Mariners?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because that's a pivotal game tonight, and I was like shocked. I was like, no way Tarek Skubal starting, because I thought he pitched like a few days ago. He actually pitched 5 days ago. It's Tarek Skubal against George Kirby in
Oh, wow.
Seattle, Game 5. I like the Tigers in this game.
I mean, they definitely have the advantage.
Well, I mean, in Game 2, Skubal goes
They
and they
lose.
lose.
Yeah. Oh, I
don't see
forgot
that
about
happening again. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see Skubal lose. I know it's on the road. I don't see them getting two, and that would be just a killer for Seattle's just like the momentum they've had going into the playoffs and everything, snatching the division out of Houston's hands, kind of burying them, and just their elite pitching and everything.
Seattle,
and an offense
yeah.
that was deeper this year. But Detroit, we talked about, the complete lack of momentum they had going into October.
It doesn't matter. Our philosophy is different, I guess.
They get the better of Cleveland. I think that gave them confidence that they can
Because
keep
Cleveland was
going.
in their heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
100%.
but the same issues with Detroit remain, which is their offense is after such a scorching start, has really come back down to earth.
Well, they
like
did a great job in Game 3, I think it was. They scored like a bunch of runs. They blew out the Mariners.
The last game, Game 4.
Or Game 4.
Yeah, but they were getting shut out in that game. They take Bryce Miller out, which was a questionable. Some of these managers taking these starting pitchers out sometimes.
They do it early
They
in the
overdo
playoffs.
it.
Yeah.
They overdo it. And they just all of a sudden just started just piling hits together. And, I mean, that's what's great about the playoffs is, like, it doesn't matter, like, how your team is on paper or how you've been in the regular season, if you struggle.
It's about the here and now.
It's about, can you put good at-bats together? Can you make your good pitches? It's a pitch-to-pitch, at-bat kind of thing. And, I agree with you, Nate, and I agree with you, sadly, because I want to see the Mariners against the Blue Jays. Like, even more so I want to see the Brewers. Like, I think the Cubs would be kind of competitive against the Dodgers. I don't think this Tigers team is doing much against the Blue Jays in a 7-game series. We'll get to the Blue
Which
Jays.
is crazy to think about. Like, if he said that like a month ago,
Yeah.
or a month and a half ago.
But but the Tigers in this spot with Skubal, and remember, he lost Game 5 last year against the Guardians. Like, he is going to be so pumped up for this game. Hopefully he's not too pumped up if you're a Detroit fan where he's all over the place. But I don't think he's just too good.
Yeah.
He's the second best in the world, as I like to say. Second best in the world. But I am really going to, like, now, I don't really like the Cubs. I love the Tigers. Like, I wouldn't be mad if they made it. But from an entertainment standpoint, this Mariners lineup and the amount of starting pitching and bullpen depth that they have is going to match up much better with the Blue Jays than the Tigers. I mean, the Tigers lineup, Parker Meadows is always in the lineup, and I have no idea why.
Parker Meadows.
And then and then outside of Skubal, Skubal is like worth 2 games
Yeah.
though, because
But not
and that's
if
what
they
we're
play
seeing.
Toronto, because he's pitching Game 5. Oh, well, if it's a 7-game series.
Yeah.
There he's
he's
But
worth 2 games because now the Tigers picked up that first game, but they kind of relaxed, I think, in that game too, because we have Skubal, but like that put a lot of pressure on the Mariners, and now there's a lot of pressure on the Mariners again. So it's like worth 2 games almost, and that's why like we talk about the Pirates. If they could just get in with Paul Skeens, he's going to be worth like 2 games.
Yeah.
Well, and then like, if you're looking next year, Bubba Chandler, bringing him in. What if you have Skeens and then you bring Chandler in after that or something,
Jeez, that's like 100
I feel
down
like Chandler
everyone's
in a playoff scenario would be like a good like piggyback in
Yeah.
a situation.
Well, we can only dream.
But, yeah, I know, but
So
I haven't gotten much eyes on this when it was in Detroit. I was with school and everything.
yeah,
So I didn't see like how they managed like their pitching and everything. I'm gonna look at that after the podcast.
Yeah,
But
their bullpen, the Mariners' bullpen imploded, and I like the Mariners' bullpen, but
Munoz has
Bryce
been great.
Miller was cruising, and they took him out because he gave up like 1 or 2 hits, and they took him out. And I think Dan Wilson is actually scared of Kerry Carpenter, and because he didn't that
you
game
gotta
one,
be scared of
and that
him.
game one he didn't take
He's
out
a bad man.
George Kirby with 2 outs and a runner on. He could have brought in the lefty to face Carpenter, stuck with George Kirby, and he hits a 2-run homer, and that's what helped them win that game 1. So I think he was wary of third time through the lineup. But you got like your starting pitching is your strength. You gotta trust it.
I think Detroit, like Casey Mize, if he like pitched all right. Jack Flaherty, if you get like the version of Jack Flaherty of like 2024, like in the playoffs, like he could be a
but
really
he hasn't
solid.
been good. I forgot about Casey Mize, but Jack Flaherty has been very average.
He was good in the one start. I don't know if he started. Did he start against?
I feel like he had a start, but I don't think it was very good. I can't remember. Was it this past game? He gave up like three runs, which is okay, but like.
But if you can
October
do something,
7th.
That was 3 days. That was game 3.
Yeah, that was the game they lost. He went 3 1/3 and gave up 4 runs.
Well, the one start he had, maybe I think it was against Cleveland.
Yeah,
it was really
Cleveland.
Good. Yeah. That was probably, but Cleveland's a much worse lineup, top to bottom. Than Seattle.
I mean, their batting average is worse than the Pirates, which is crazy.
And the Tigers have a decent bullpen. My main issue with the Tigers, I mean, the starting pitching with Scooble, like you can get away with a little lack of depth, but the lineup, you're not hitting. It's just been an issue, especially with runners in scoring position. So,
yeah. But they got like a lot of decent hitters. Like they're kind of like the Brewers in that like they just have a lot of like Gleyber Torres is a good hitter. You know, like Juan Perez is like a good hitter. You know, like they got some guys, and McKinstry's
Baez,
a good hitter.
who was terrible in the second half, has really stepped up for them.
And they need that too. Like it's like you can. It's funny. Like, what if the Tigers win the World Series? Can you call the Javi Baez contract bad anymore?
Nope.
If he plays a crucial part.
I thought
like look at Jason Hayward with the Cubs. Like
I thought in that first half of the season, I was like, I don't know if you can call it a contract. Like I was saying that like even like during the first because like it was just so bad the first. What was it? 2 years, right? That was
3.
Or it was 3.
Yeah.
Okay, because it was like a precipitous drop off even each season of the contract.
Well, at the end of the season this year, his OPS was very similar to the first year of his contract with the Tigers, and everyone was saying how a disaster it was, and now it's kind of like the opposite now, which is because he was an All-Star and everything.
But I think
Riley Green, he's been bad.
He got to step up. I was saying this because we were talking about he's a really good player, but I was like he strikes out a bunch. And I was like in a big spot. I don't know if I like him.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting in this game, which stars. Like for the Mariners, Cal Raleigh got to do something. You know, he can't have the Jorge Polanco.
And I also think Naylor and Suarez have been haven't really done the whole lot. Now it's been a small sample size because they didn't have a wild card series, but Suarez especially, I feel like has struggled as a Mariner. He had that home run in Game 3, but other than that, he hasn't really done a whole lot.
Yeah, so it'll be very interesting tonight. Again, I had the Mariners win the World Series, so I kind of want them to win for that purpose. But I like both teams. You know, I don't hate them at all. And if the Tigers win, whoever wins is going to earn it tonight. It's going to be. I
just think the Blue Jays, if they face the Tigers, like this Blue Jays team, I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
I think the entire country, us included, did not give them the respect that they deserve.
All of North America. I don't know if Canada respected
the
George
Springer really was like the X factor in that offense turning around. He was
Ernie
one of the
Clements
best. Ernie Clements.
It's these guys at the bottom of the order: Barger, Clement, Dalton, Varsho.
Varsho's been solid in his short sample.
We were talking about bat-to-ball skills. I mean, and lineup depth. Other than the Dodgers, 1 through 9, the Blue Jays are the most dangerous team. Like,
especially if Vladdy, how he's playing now.
I'm feeling a Blue Jays Dodgers World Series right now. Like, I'm really feeling it.
I mean, that would be.
I'm really feeling
I would
it.
like that.
I would too.
Well, I like a Mariners. To save my
Braves, but the Mariners. I mean, it would come to can their pitching shut down, and the Yankees. I mean, Max Fried just torched. Carlos Rodon torched. they didn't that kid Schlittler. I mean, he did well against them, but he wasn't like dominating.
Well,
like
relative to what the other starters did,
Right.
he was elite.
Yeah, but like, just incredible the ways they manufacture.
And
runs.
they should have swept
And-
the Yankees. Like they took their foot off the gas in Game 3. We all know that. Credit to Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge had a great. I was joking with them. Oh, it was a singles.
Aaron
I was
Judge.
joking.
Yeah,
But he had a great.
He did. What else can he do?
Yeah, it was just the other guys didn't consistently step up. Jazz Chisholm made some mental errors in the field.
Yeah.
And you have to pitch well. I mean, their starting pitching, I mean, just got destroyed. And that's credit
Yeah,
to the Blue Jays.
they didn't have a chance at some of those. I mean, the games in Toronto, they almost didn't have a chance. Yeah, just from an offensive standpoint. But tough for Brian Cashman. He's going to have to do some soul searching with Ben Cherington in Cancun pretty soon here, because we got to see what we're going to do here with the Yankees. Obviously, you're getting Cole back. You got to figure out if you can get anything else, like revitalize Luis Gil, because he was so good in 2024, and then he was hurt a lot this season and just wasn't the same. If they do that, then their depth and now Schlittler, I mean, it was so good. You have something to build on, I think, for the Yankees. But again, I still think there's a lot of the lineup. It's still like there's something off about it still. You know what I mean?
It's
You're just
not.
watching them.
We talk about how the Blue Jays put the ball in play.
They don't string together hits.
They don't.
No.
They don't.
They're
their
they're
problem.
always relying on
that's the
home
thing
run.
with these big market teams. They always have these. They have such a tough time with the bottom of their lineup because they have this philosophy where all their hitters are big market players, and that's just not the case. Like, you have these like prospects that just don't perform well. Like, you can't have Volpe striking out a ton. He's just not going to develop that way.
And I know Aaron Boone gets a lot of hate, and we love Brian Cashman, but he's been there for 30 years. I mean, do you get to a point where you're getting too comfortable just doing the same thing over and over again with the way you acquire hitters? I mean, they can't develop any. That's the difference between them and the Dodgers. Like, Ohtani has a support staff around him. Now, they got a lot of big free agents. But, I mean, the Yankees do, they get their free agents too, and that they come and go, and they don't have any young hitters that come up and perform and give you that depth. They don't develop hitters, and they constantly acquire guys who just bring power and strike out a lot. And I don't think that's a winning formula. And I feel like as the GM, like, do you get comfortable just doing the same stuff over and over again? Well, we're competitive. We get to the NLDS, NLCS. But when you're the New York Yankees, 16 years without a World Series is unacceptable for them.
Yeah.
And, like, I just feel like they need to make some major changes with their philosophy. And I don't know if someone who's been there for 30 years... Derek Jeter kind of actually took a shot at our friend Brian Cashman. He was like, I don't know what else Aaron could do. I mean, there's bigger issues than Aaron Boone.
Well, you saying he's not the one like running the show.
Yeah.
Kind of. He was basically said. And I was like, is that fully to Brian Cashman? Is that to the Steinbrenner thing? Is it a little bit of both?
Yeah.
Well, look at it this way. Back around, I guess, 2016, 2017, 2018, the Yankees actually were able to develop some guys. Obviously, Judge is the big one. But Gleyber Torres and even Miguel Andujar for a season. But then it kind of stopped. Once they both this, like, sort of core, and then they started spending, they couldn't develop anyone else. Then you had Gleyber Torres gone. Miguel Andujar just kept getting hurt. And I still think he's a good hitter, but still, they had to move off from him one way or the other. And now all of a sudden, you're trying to make up for that by getting these free agents that are old, and then they decline. Like DJ LeMahieu he was a big one that declined, and it's just a whole mess.
I want to comment about them developing Judge, because that's a common misconception that they
I should say he's homegrown. I should say he's a homegrown guy that developed as a Yankee.
But people say, well, they developed Judge. Well, no, they didn't. Judge went to this hitting coach Teacherman, who does a lot of great content. I love his stuff and his philosophy. But that's a whole nother topic. But basically, Judge said, like, I got out of it, like, let me be. Like, I think he made a comment, like, just get out of my way and let me do what I want to do. And that's worked out for them.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the Yankees who developed him. And Cashman will claim that, I developed him. But he comes on this podcast, he says, yeah, I developed them. I'm a great developer. They develop pitching really well, but it's the hitting and the constant we want to be the Bronx Bombers.
I think James Cashman had more of an impact than Brian. We got to be honest. I think
because
he's more with the minor league. He's very.
And they made
with
a lot
those
of
minor
weird
transactions.
moves.
He
Yeah.
likes doing the AAA moves, and I think he was kind of like, maybe I don't know if this is true, but he said, "Hey, maybe you should talk to this guy, whatever the guy you're talking about." Behind Brian Cashman's back, I don't know.
He probably told Brian Cashman not to re-sign Nick Swisher so that they could get the pick for Judge, maybe.
And so we don't Cashman. He's soul searching right now. So, but if you want to see Brian Cashman's his thoughts on what he thought last week after the Red Sox, he was jumping the gun a little bit. Let's just say
that's up on YouTube still.
that was our bonus content. So go check that out. Our friend Brian
What
Cashman.
that was literally
Quote said,
what a day can do, because literally he comes on, we have the podcast on the Friday, the next day the Blue Jays curb stomped the Yankees, and they got very worried very quickly.
Yeah.
and he said, yeah, I'm not worried about the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
That's
we're
a
not
quote.
worried. He said, "quote We're not worried about the Blue Jays." and well, I think that.
But we weren't either. I think we sometimes overvalue starting pitching, and now not that it's important.
It
but
didn't even matter in the series.
It didn't
almost for the
matter.
Blue Jays, because they were so good off.
We
Nobody could have seen that.
overvalued like their starting pitching depth and undervalued how great their lineup was. Like I didn't realize. And we talked about Harper needing to be a star, Judge to being a star. Now he was, but Vlad Jr. He owns the Yankees in the regular season and now the postseason. And when he gets going, there's not many better hitters than him, because
that home run in game, that was just a beautiful. Like, every time he hits a homer, he gets like all of it. It's like beautiful.
He hasn't been hitting like 40 home runs every year, but like he constantly is hitting 280, 290.
And he doesn't strike out a lot, which is rare for a guy who has power as a
And
first
he's in better
baseman.
shape now. He's better defensively. He's just overall. I think getting that contract, he's like, now I gotta go.
And he's able to have a lot of leeway to like, not that he couldn't before. Obviously, he's on an MLB team; they do this for him. But he could get the best trainers in the world still. Like there's so many outlets that he can have now that he's like half a billionaire, and it's gonna be able to work out. Like, as long as he still has the love for the game, he's gonna continue to improve. Like, or I should say, continue to play at a high level.
You don't see a lot of guys in this day and age, who have that power potential and be a great contact hitter and can hit to all fields. You just don't see it. Like guys like Kyle Schwarber, like we love Kyle Schwarber, but he's always going to hit 240,
Yeah.
and
well,
you
he
just
used
don't
to
see
hit
that.
worse. Like, he's gotten a lot better, like hitting wise.
That's just an example. I'm not taking a shot at Schwarber.
Compare Vlad to, like, let's say a Pete Alonso. You feel more comfortable whenever Vlad goes into an older age than you would a Pete Alonso. Look at how long it took Joey Votto to not become as productive of a hitter compared to a Ryan Howard.
Right.
It's just it's a completely different landscape. And we're seeing Freddie Freeman now, who's just an all-around great hitter. He's still producing at high level. Like, you get these first basemen that can hit for a high batting average. Whenever they start to decline a little bit, it's not going to be as severe as these power hitting only first basemen, because whenever they hit under 200, they're not walking as much because they don't have the plate discipline anymore. That's when it starts to become a bad situation, and I think the Blue Jays should be set with Vlad for a while.
I just gotta say, I did not know that the Blue Jays called up Trey Yesevich.
Yeah, that's the big.
I did
I
not know
love
that. And then I saw him in game 2. I was like, wait, he's up here already?
I
Because he just got
love that
drafted.
move. I love that move.
And he was like, Vladdy and him kind of shut the door almost, it felt like, on the Yankees, because he was absolutely dominant, literally striking every hitter out. East Carolina guy. It was literally just like last year, he was like mowing down hitters in the college tournament. I can't remember what it's called, but that could be a huge difference maker. Say the Blue Jays, whoever they play in the ALCS, and say they make the World Series. Gossman look really good. You get Yesevich and Bieber. If he wasn't the greatest his last start, but if he can, get a little bit back of what he was. You start to look and you say they could match up against a team like the Dodgers. Say it got there.
A guy like Yesevich, the Blue Jays don't have that. Like they didn't have that all season.
No.
And that's what made you like, I don't know about the rotation.
There's a lot of solid, not spectacular.
Right. But they never had that dominant strikeout guy. Like if I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure no starting pitcher for the Blue Jays that pitched a significant amount struck more guys out than innings pitched. I could be wrong about that, but I can't think of any. It would be Gossman, if anything, but I don't think he did. So, like, getting a Savage in there to mow guys down, that's something that they just didn't have. And you're not going to get that anymore with Shane Bieber as well, just because of injuries and everything like that. So, having him up, I thought that was a brilliant move, and that's really been the difference. Like, just kind of like a turning point with them and the Yankees. And
Blue Jays got rewarded for, I think, signing Vladdy. And, like, they had that momentum from the offseason.
Yeah.
And I think it carried in a big way into the regular season. Obviously, George Springer being revitalized really helped.
And here's, I don't know if I said this, they destroyed the Yankees pitching with no Bo Bichette.
Right.
He's been hurt, and he was one of the biggest contributors for them. Hopefully he comes back. Oh my good! Imagine if they get him back. Like,
I mean, he's another bat to ball guy. He's not a guy that walks a ton, but he hits 300.
And he was bad.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays kind of remind me, guys, of the 2023 Rangers.
Yeah.
Now they obviously got a new manager. They got Bruce Bochy.
Yeah.
But everything that could have went wrong for Texas the year before went wrong. They were a last place team, 100 games. You knew that they had guys like Corey Seager, Marcus Semien.
Yeah.
They just had to get some pitching around them. And then last year for the Blue Jays, we know the talent that they had. Everything kind of went wrong for them. It's like we see things getting better for them, but are they going to be a real contender? And then they end up being a real contender. John Schneider, who was on the hot seat, they started off kind of slow this year. He was on the hot seat. All of a sudden, they get some pitching. Bo Bichette starts playing well. George Springer all of a sudden starts playing well. And all of a sudden, it's like, we got a team here. And that 2023 Texas team, just so many good hitters on that team. Similarly to this team, like just from a last place team to the top. Like, that's what this kind of reminds me of a little bit.
Well, I kind of want to go back to how you mentioned about Bo Bichette being such a contributor. Like, people are going to look at his OPS and say, wait, he's not one of the better hitters in the league. His OPS is like in the low 800s. Like, he's not like. But then you don't take into account this with like, yes, his on base percentage isn't as high for him being a 300 hitter. But if there's a runner on second, would you rather have your hitter, the guy that's up to bat, get a base hit or walk? Right.
Yeah.
I'd rather have him hit a base hit so that you can potentially score the runner, or at worst advance him to third, especially if you have less than 2 outs. But Bichette's so valuable to this team. Like I want people to stop worrying about OPS every once in a while, unless obviously your power hitter needs to have a high OPS. But a guy like Bo Bichette, he does a fantastic job offensively. He constantly either leads or is close to the league in hits every single year. He hits a lot of doubles. I mean, no one realizes how valuable that is, especially at the top of your lineup. So
I'll just say this before we go into some football. Yankees, you have an all-time talent, Cashman. You have an all-time talent in Aaron Judge. An all-time Yankee in Aaron Judge. And he's not getting any younger, so you need to change your ways a little bit. You need to make some big changes, or else he's going to keep getting older, and you're going to all that he did for you is going to be wasted. So they got to do some soul searching. And I don't know if Aaron Boone is the guy. Like, I think they have bigger problems than Aaron Boone, but like I would understand if they moved off him.
yeah.
Okay, all right, football. Do we want to start with college, or we'll do NFL first?
Oh, we should do college to get it out, and then because we're going to NFL.
Okay.
Well, I'll say this. We're going to get into the Eagles, but just this last week, Penn State, ultra collapse. Eagles get blown out by the Giants. The Phillies lose in the most embarrassing fashion. It's been a very joyous kind of hate watching lately. And these are some of my least favorite programs / franchises. And great stuff. Let's destroy Penn State real quick.
I was away, but I was watching Penn State UCLA on my phone, and I mean, it kind of looked like early Penn State just didn't want to be there. They you ever do this where you see a score and you're like, nah, that can't be right. And you go somewhere else to see what the score. That's what I did with Penn State UCLA, because at first it was UCLA 7, Penn State nothing. I was like, oh geez, that's crazy. And then it's 27-7. I saw the end of the half, but I wasn't watching it at one point. I was like 27-7. There's no way this is true. There's no way this is right. I go to like multiple scores, like places, Google, I go on ESPN and CBS, and they all say it. I'm like, no way. So you're watching the second half, and there was a point, early in the third quarter, you're like, Penn State's going to come back and win this game. They get the touchdown pretty easily. UCLA is an awful defense. And then they block the punt. UCLA goes 3-out, they block the punt, and they get a touchdown off of it. So you're like, okay, it's 27-21. Okay, yeah, we had our fun here. It was fun while it lasted, but Penn State's going to take over in this game. And then they didn't. And then Nico Iamaleava ran over this defense. I said this on my radio show. I bashed Penn State on my radio show because you got the highest paid offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator in college football. You bring over Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator from Ohio State, who was elite. And you obviously have Andy Kotelnicki, who was the most innovative offensive coordinator in college football. And Penn State pays a hefty fee to get his services. And especially defensively, but offensively, obviously, too, for Penn State. It's a mess in all regards. I do not know how they gave up so many yards to UCLA.
Yeah.
It was just incredible.
And we know how talented Nico is, but they've been terrible. They lost to New Mexico by 20 or whatever.
They lost 35-10 to New Mexico. They lost in the most poverty Power 4 team in the Big Ten. They lost to Northwestern. 17-14, and they're a terrible team. They can't score. They haven't been able to throw the ball at all.
They had a new coach who's actually Tim Pickett or Pritchard or something. I forget his name, but he's pretty respected. He's the interim head coach. But they had brand new coordinators and a brand new head coach. It was
they had the Neuheisel's his son.
Neuheisel's son.
Yeah.
But they didn't even know how to work the headset.
Yeah,
and he's cooking Penn State's defense.
No, but the thing was, like, UCLA threw a little bit early, but it was just they couldn't throw the ball consistently at all.
Yeah.
Like, you knew they were going to be running like every play, and Penn State, they're usually elite. That's why I thought this year, like, they had a high floor because they have that elite defense.
Right.
I don't think they have an elite. You can't have that showing, giving up almost 500 yards against UCLA and save an elite defense. They just down after down, they just pushed into. They just gave it to Penn State's defense. And they couldn't stop them running the ball. And Nico had a couple 50-yard runs that really demoralized them. Like, it was 27-21. And you're like, okay, Penn State's going to get the ball back. They're going to win. And then Nico, on third down, gets a 50-plus yard run. It gets him into the red zone. And then they score a touchdown. And Penn State's trying to match them. And Penn State's not a team that's going to score a bunch of points anyway like that, like trying to match teams. But we didn't think UCLA was anywhere close to a team that could do that anyway. So Jim, that was just a terrible performance by the defense, and I'm not going to put any I'm not going to give them you traveled across the country. That's not an excuse.
Oregon traveled across the country.
Oregon did, and Penn State, all these West Coast teams, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, you don't get that excuse, and neither does the big brands in Big Ten because they added them to the Big Ten. You knew this was going to happen. You said, for more money, we'll bring these teams in. So you cannot complain about that when it doesn't go your way. You either go West Coast to East Coast or East to West. So that's not an excuse. You can't use that excuse and have it be credible. And offensively, how do you get last year they were at least pretty decent, and Drew Aller was looking pretty good.
Yeah. And
they were complaining every game. We don't have any wide receivers. Obviously they had Tyler Warren, which I think. That really is hurting Penn State this year, not having Tyler Warren, who just caught everything thrown in his direction, and was kind of a guy that even you could put anybody on them, even the most elite defensive players in college football. He was going to make the plays, and you don't have that this year. Even though I think you did upgrade the wide receiver position, there's definitely a down. I don't even know who their tight end is. I've never even seen their tight end catch a pass, maybe once. I don't even know who it is, and so there's certainly that. But Andy Kotelnicki is supposed to be this offensive guru, this genius. And Drew Aller, and now part of it's Drew Aller's missing. I think he's missing a lot of open
Drew
receivers.
Aller is so bad.
But he is not big. It's bad for Penn State. There's these Penn State fans saying, "What a run by Drew Aller! He ran up the."
That's all he does. That's all he does.
He had the one run, and UCLA missed 5 tackles.
And that's how they were scoring against UCLA. They literally stopped passing because Drew Aller can't pass. That 4th and 2, they did that read option, that jet sweep option, like, you got to be throwing the ball in that situation,
Yeah.
you would think.
They
don't trust him. It's come to the point they don't trust him to throw the ball. And the fact that this kid was such a highly talented prospect this year, and every single year, like, I was kind of, like, hopeful for him. When I saw him his freshman year, like, his arm, the toughness. You can't question his arm talent and the toughness. But when you can't read the field and be accurate, you're not going to be a good quarterback at this level. Like, that's just simple. Everybody knows that. And he's not either of those things. And it's just crazy. Like, we see this with Cade Klubnik. Like, we hailed this quarterback class as such a great quarterback class. And none of these guys have proved anything. And they continue to prove nothing this year. I mean, he is really just off. And I had some hope because of his physical traits and the offensive coordinator. Some of the, you thought they maybe would have some better weapons. I don't think that's necessarily the case. But, like, there's no excuses for this. There's no excuses for him. He is what he is.
There's no excuse for this team,
No.
and for them to be 3-2, like, the sky is falling right now. I mean, literally. I mean, like, you could salvage your season, if you take care of business against UCLA. We got UCLA coming up in Northwestern. We got some games where you can get right and everything, and then obviously in a little bit playing Ohio State. This team, there's no chance they make the playoffs now. No chance at all.
They have to go undefeated and win the Big Ten.
They'd have to go undefeated. Yeah, that's what they would have to do. And they've given no indication at all this season that they could do that. And it's interesting. Like, people are starting to question, like, is Oregon even, like, really that good? Because, like,
Right.
what was this Penn State? Like, they were messing around.
Well, they'll play in Indiana. They'll see how they do. That'll be an interesting game this week.
But I kind of want to go back to UCLA a little bit because with the transfer portal, it seems like we have this every single year, and I thought that we had this with UCLA, and it started in maybe it started a year before, I just didn't realize, but in 2023, I call this the Fuldrakovic effect because it's whenever you bring in this transfer that has experience, he comes to your program, and you just have this awful season that just completely demoralizes your entire program. That was Pitt 2023 with Fuldrakovic. The season after was Florida State with DJ Uyagagle. Like it was just a disaster. I can't pronounce.
No, I don't know if I'm even. I like to say Unga.
Yeah.
I like to say Unga.
But then you got this year, and we thought that was the case with Nico Ameleva because of how bad they started. I mean, I know how talented he is, but if you lose the 2 scores against New Mexico, I don't care your personnel. You're a 5-star recruit that played in the SEC the year before in the playoff, and that's how you can't put up points against New Mexico. But Penn State really didn't make it seem like this was the same situation. Ameleva ran all over them. It was like he literally ran for 120-some yards. I mean, it's just I don't know how you can explain that from a defense that's supposed to have all this high personnel. And I'm not a Penn State hater. You guys know that. Like I'm not.
We
like,
are.
You guys. I know you guys are.
Penn State.
Obviously, I'm not gonna be like, I hate Penn State, but it's just kind of got like I was kind of laughing during that game because it's like what do you do like this? You were supposed to be a national championship contending like. I know we've mentioned this so many times, but you were supposed to win the Big Ten this year. I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, it's Penn State, they weren't." But your roster, you're supposed to win it. Like Drew Aller, this is technically his 4th season in college football, his 3rd as a starter. I mean, there has to be some improvement. There just isn't, and I know
the fact that they were ranked over Ohio State.
Yeah, and the thing is, like James Franklin, like yes, he's a great recruiter. He turned that program around. Penn State can't develop quarterbacks, and that's a huge issue.
They can't develop quarterbacks or weapons other than running back.
Right, and it's become an issue because you could get away with that 10 years ago with, you have this great defense. You just have a quarterback that can deliver. Yeah. We've seen Alabama win it with some quarterbacks that Jake Coker the one year. They were able, but you can't do that anymore because these quarterbacks are like once Joe Burrow threw 60 touchdowns in one season, that was all out the window. You have to have this elite quarterback to win now, and we're just not seeing that. So
it was I completely agree, Jake, and it was just, I mean, even if you weren't a hater, I think just normal college football fans were laughing at it. Yeah. And I think it was a similar thing with Texas because there's all those expectations. And they're just not that team, you just laugh about it, and it's just like, if I'm Penn State going in that game, okay, Nico can't throw the ball right now. These wide receivers are terrible, and he's just not that guy. but he could beat us with his legs. He could beat teams with his legs. So let's have a spy on him.
Yeah.
Right? Let's just have a linebacker spy on him. It's not like they're going to be passing it a bunch anyway. And they didn't have a spy, and he just cooked them consistently. And I just want to reiterate, I mean, we've all heard the points and everything, but it was just the most shocking thing I've seen in so long in college football. UCLA hasn't led all season in a game. They haven't had the lead in a game all season. They never trailed against Penn State. I just think it needs to be reiterated because it is
absolutely. We're going to reiterate.
Mind-boggling. It's just insane. Like, I mean, that's a game where you end your football program over, you know? And I don't see how serious changes can't be made, but like, I was thinking too, like, Jim Knowles is a great defensive coordinator. Like, we all know that. We saw him at Ohio State. And it wasn't just the players, it was the scheme that he had that was really good. And Andy Kotelnicki did a great job, you know, with Kansas. He was a great offensive coordinator and with the Jayhawks, who have never been a good offense or defense or anything. And I just don't know how it hasn't translated.
I can tell you how. Big game James. Not only can he not win the big games, now he can't. Why are you turning?
I just big game James. Like, it's little.
Now he's little game. Now
I'm
gonna pout because we lost to Oregon and not have my team ready to go.
Well,
go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, this is literally 4 years ago. I don't know if you guys remember, but Penn State against Iowa, that was a big game, like two top 5 teams, and Penn State loses, and then I don't know if this was the week after or whatever. Then they lose to Illinois, like very soon after.
They fell off. They just
they went 7-6.
And Frank, he makes the same excuses every single press. He's always making excuses. Like it's great. Like, he is such a clown for making all these excuses. I'm not gonna get into that, but
UCLA is a great football team. We played a great football team.
Well, he was like, "Why? You know, we just weren't ready to go with the travel. Like, that should not come out of your mouth. Like, what are you?"
Oregon traveled across the country and beat you at Penn State
in a whiteout, and that atmosphere, one of the if not the hardest atmosphere in college sports.
Yeah.
Here's what Penn State has to learn. They knew. I think they've known that James Franklin is an issue. So they throw all this money at these coordinators, saying that's going to fix our problems. But when your head coach is mentally soft, that's how the team is. They are a mentally soft football team. He schedules a bunch of nobodies in the preseason. They never play a tough non-conference game. Never. Look at their schedule next year. It's even worse. It's even worse in terms of how easy it is. And then they get in these big games. They beat all these bad teams, and then they get in these big games, and they just consistently are outplayed and
out-schemed and out-coached.
Yeah.
And they're not tough. There's no toughness. There's no mental toughness, and they get physically they're not tough enough. And that falls on the head coach. And so they made a big mistake throwing all these money at coordinators, thinking that's just going to solve all their problems, when the same issues of losing these big games and consistently being mentally tough and physically tough is the issue. Yeah. That's the issue.
And with Franklin, like, I know this is a little off topic, but like, talk about the schedule, like, him and Penn State, like, they will not play Pitt unless it's literally three out of 4 games at Penn State. And I get the money situation, but Notre Dame's playing at Pitt this year. It's not like it's not like there's. Like, Notre Dame would honestly have more of a right to say that because they've been more relevant recently.
Notre Dame.
I don't get mad at Penn State for playing. I don't get mad at Penn State for not playing Pitt. I get mad if they don't play anybody.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even have to be Pitt. Play somebody. Get your team prepared.
Yeah.
Get beating Villanova 59-3. Isn't preparing. Now, everyone plays an FCS team, but like, for them to play Villanova, Nevada,
FIU,
and
FIU,
it actually, but the signs were there because
FIU was like
they were.
They were. Yeah.
These teams were. They were not hammering these teams like they should have.
Yeah,
been,
they did like the late, like when Nevada and stuff, when they gave up, they piled on in the fourth quarter.
But even when you're not hammering those teams, you see the issues. The players aren't going to fix things in practice. You know, they're not going to be motivated because they're still winning these games. Like, it's it's a mentally soft program and because of a mentally soft head coach right now, and they're physically soft. Like they just, it's a cultural issue at this point, in my opinion. It's a cultural issue. Hey, if you're throwing all this money at coordinators, you should have no problem. If you have all the money in the world, they're buying Ohio State's coordinator, Kansas coordinator. They should have no problem paying James Franklin's buyout if they want to see actual change.
Mm-hmm.
But these I don't know.
They can't
if they'll do it.
No, you can't do the buyout. They cannot do that buyout. They're gonna need to, because it's over $50 million. Like you cannot do that in NIL. You can't pay a coach $50 million to leave and pay your players now.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. They're stuck. Like that's like the funny thing from my perspective and the ironic perspective. Like they're stuck with them for a while unless they come to agreement of parting ways where James Franklin just goes and gets another job somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't, like, if I'm James Franklin, I don't want to do, like,
No.
I want to hold their feet to the fire, and I don't want them to let them off the hook if they want to get rid of me. I don't want to, let them off the hook, and I want $50 million.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it really
Absolutely.
$50 million?
Yeah. Let me look
I
it
don't blame
up.
them
I
at
mean,
all.
I just don't think there's. If they really wanted to get rid of James Franklin, I really think they could buy. There would be a donors out there who would buy him out.
Yeah.
I really think that it's like maybe in the money they've spent overall, like it seems impossible, but like I think they could do it if they really wanted to. I really think they could.
And we're not going to see it during the season, obviously, because, yes, this was catastrophic, but they're going to wait to see how the season plays out. Because if you fire a head coach now, even if you can't afford it, that screws your season. Yeah, that screws your season altogether.
Yeah.
Like, you hardly, like, even in the, like, look at the NFL. Whenever a team fires their head coach midway through the season, they never win at all. They just never do. And Penn State, their cause isn't going to be helped right now. But at the end of the season, that's a whole other story. Who knows what they end up doing? So.
Yeah, it's $50 million.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, I think it's I think they could if donors stepped up, if there was a real need.
But they've been
it.
stepping up, and this is where they're at. Like they've been stepping up. The donors have been, they paid, these coordinators so much. I don't know.
But you could maybe buy out like part of it, and then say, go to another school. They'll pay you. I don't know.
You should go to Cornbread State now instead of playing them.
Imagine James Franklin as the head coach of UCLA after that. That'd actually be very funny.
Oh my gosh. Well, so
let's shift.
And I want to say this. People talk about this in the Penn State community. Drew Allard. This is a bit their thing with not being able to develop quarterbacks and misevaluating quarterbacks. Bo Perbula was there for them.
Yes.
He should have been the guy.
He's looking really solid.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll see. They play Alabama this week.
But the thing is, with Bo Perbula, you could double down on the run game and the running backs that they have because he's electric on his feet.
He would fit. Yeah. He would fit better. Yeah,
Yeah.
like with this Penn State offense, like the way they want to do it, like being run heavy. But it's just you just sit back and watch as the house is burning down. You just sit like this in your recliner. You'll watch Big Game James and Little Game James, and you're just like, that's nice. $50 million buyout, that's nice. The hate. I'll continue to hate because they want to hate on Pitt. Pitt is always in their minds for some reason. Pitt is an inferior program. We would admit to them.
We're not even on the same level.
Come to
with
Pitt,
the money now?
Come to Pitt, and play them because Penn State, they travel well. They could. There's going to be a lot.
You could get an easy, nice non-conference win.
Yeah. Well, if you're losing UCLA.
Well, Pitt did look better than Penn State.
If they played like today, Pitt would.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be. I mean, with Mason Hines, so we should probably get into Pitt now.
Well, Pitt looked better against Boston College than Penn State looked against FIU, which is very concerning. But that's the truth.
Yeah. You want to start getting into Pitt here because, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but they're going to the playoffs.
They're going to win out. We've seen this before. We've seen this before.
It's a different
4 years
football
ago.
team.
No, actually, I'm very I'm very hopeful. Like I don't know what this Florida State game's weird because I have no idea what.
If they win this Florida State game, there's a bunch of momentum to where they can, but they can win 8-9 games.
Yeah.
There could be a pathway because Syracuse now has to be a win. NC State has to be a win at Stanford.
Well, yeah, you know what? West
Yeah.
Virginia should have been a win, and so should have
Yeah,
Louisville.
but Eli Holstein was quarterback.
And now if Mason Heinzel limits the turnovers, Pitt is gonna be competitive in every game that they play. That's been obviously it's not the issue, right? There were a lot of issues that happened with the West Virginia and Louisville, but it ended up coming down to the turnovers.
I was saying the one on the podcast saying I'm not a big buy. I don't buy into Eli Holstein, but I don't like how Eli Holstein has been treated in this situation.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because you knew what he was. As you knew he's a bit farvish. He's going to throw some picks. He's going to make some dumb mistakes. So why don't you, if you're paying him, they're giving him a decent amount of NIL money. If you're paying this and you think he's the guy, if you're paying him, why don't you help him limit the mistakes? How about you develop a run
Put him
game?
in conducive situations.
Right.
And they didn't do that. So now because Cade Bell is so stuck in his ways, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to bring in Mason Heinzel, and I think Mason Heinzel is going to throw the ball 40 to 50 times a game, and he's not going to turn the ball over at all. He's a true freshman. We'll see. Now, it
was one game.
It was one game
against a very bad team.
And
ACC.
Pitt lost 2 games they should have won easily. On paper, they should have won. Especially the Louisville game. They played well enough, but they just made too many mistakes, right? They outplayed Louisville. Right.
Yeah.
So they took their anger out from those past 2 games on a bad Boston College team. It was a good spot for Pitt. You can credit them for bringing in Mason Heinzel, but was it really Mason Heinzel or was it? Now I'm not saying he did. I didn't really watch him. I don't really have an opinion on him because I wasn't able to watch that game. But we'll see how much of a difference there is between him and Holstein this week.
Yeah.
It's a bad spot for Pitt off a blowout win. Florida State, yes, they lost in a rivalry game, but they've lost back-to-back weeks. They should be ready to go. A true freshman quarterback in his first road start in that environment against a good team that's lost 2 in a row. It's going to be a tough test.
I look at it differently because Florida State didn't get up for Virginia and lost. They got up. They got very hyped up and everything for Miami, and
they didn't play well at all against Miami.
No, Miami controlled that game, and Florida State kind of had a weird comeback.
Florida State is not they
knocked Bama around for 4
was
quarters.
also Ty Simpson's first start, and he's been excellent.
And Ty Simpson was good, and that was just a weird game. Florida State, if you Pitt matches up really well against Florida State. If you look schematically, because Pitt is gonna do whatever they can to stop the run, and if they can do that against Florida State, Tommy Castellanos, if he passes 45 times, Pitt's gonna win.
Oh, I agree.
That's a slant, like he just did. If he passes her 40 times. If they make it now, can he complete some? I think he has to be a better thrower than Dylan Longren for Boston College.
He's definitely improved from the last couple of years, but I feel like he's the type of quarterback that Narduzzi does best against. A guy that has to flush out the pocket.
They beat him in 2023.
He's a guy that he as soon as he snaps the ball, he's out of the pocket. He can't just stay in the pocket, consistently at least. He's always out of the pocket. I think that fits well with Pitt because you have these fast playmaking linebackers, Rasheem Biles and Kyle Lewis, that could definitely make up some ground if he decides to do that. And then that's going to put the pressure on Castellanos to have to make a throw, and I don't know if he can deliver as of now. So
and Florida State, I don't think Florida State's going to be up for this game. I honestly don't. I think their season could spiral.
Know.
They have 2 losses in the ACC already, so they'd have to go undefeated the rest of the way, and I don't see that happening. I don't see them being incredibly hyped up for this game. There was a defender who this week said we're not worried about Mason Heinzel. They have a true freshman. He didn't say that, but he said that they have a true freshman quarterback who's made 1 start. We think we can get after it, in that regard.
Yeah.
And I just don't. I think it could be a lower scoring game. Actually, I think it probably will be. I'm not sold on Castellanos. I'm surprised Florida State's been as good as they have. I think everybody is. They certainly have the talent. Last year, they had the talent last year. They went 2-10.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting.
I guess it's how you look at this game. I look at this differently than you. Maybe I'm overvaluing Florida State here, but look, I'm not that one performance from Pitt, I'm not bought in. Jake Bell said this off the air. I think this is like a game Pitt squeaks out somehow, or they get absolutely blown out.
Yeah, I agree. It's
Like,
it's going
like-
to be either the two.
I can see all possibilities. I see.
Yeah, with Narduzzi,
Except for a
everything's
Pitt,
possible.
I don't see a Pitt blowout. But I see like a lot of possibilities here. The possibilities are endless.
Well,
so
it's going to
difficult.
come down to the quarterback play, because if Heinzel throws an early
If he makes some
interception,
big throws.
yeah, I mean, the thing with that Heinzel did differently than Holstein, at least in the one game we saw, he threw it to the right guy. He made the right read consistently. Like, I thought you'd feel comfortable with him having the ball on third down. But the Florida State environment, who knows if Heinzel gets a little nervous, like he's never been in this situation. I mean, Boston College didn't travel well at all. It was all Pitt fans, and there was no
was
sort of
surprised. There was just no.
I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, a true freshman quarterback, is he going to be not going to make mistakes in this offense?
that's the question.
I don't know if I can buy into that long term.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
I really
It's
don't know.
completely fair, but I mean, again, if Pitt can stop the run and they make Castellanos throw, who's to say he's
Well, I
not
have a
gonna make
question about
mistakes?
Yeah.
because Pitt's defense, we all know it's they do
They're the
same
best in the
stuff.
country at stopping the run right now.
They are. That
Really?
is
They're
factually
like
Well,
correct.
those
far and away.
linebackers and you have that Fitzsimmons and
Now the
He's-
the
he's
D-line.
a
competition, like they
yeah.
haven't played like the greatest teams obviously so far, which makes it even more frustrating that they're 3-2, obviously.
Yeah.
So
But
my question is, didn't they have some injuries on
Oh,
the
we
on the
gotta get
edge?
to that.
That's my concern.
because
Yeah.
the injury report, Blaine Spires
I was
is
going
out.
to say, I saw him. He was out last week,
Joey
too.
Zielinski's out. Jaden Moore's still out. So this is like the whole D line.
So like we talk about like
Yeah.
getting to Tommy Castellanos, but like if we
Yeah.
have
But
these
they're not going to get
injuries,
to. They're not going to get to him. I'm not worried about. They don't need to get. They need to stop him from having big runs himself.
Right.
They need to continue. Like I don't need them. I don't want them rushing him. Actually, I want them to stay back and limit him to 2 or 3, like 3 yards. If they limit to 3 or 4 yards per carry, Pitt's gonna be in a good spot. And if they can, stop the run up the middle.
And I still like Pitt's depth on the defensive line. They've been using Isaiah Neal. We were talking about it at the
He's
game.
gonna be at the DN
He's gonna be a DN. Which I mean, honestly, with his size now, I kind of agree with. You have Jasir Whittington, who I think can still be pretty solid. He's a guy that loves.
He
Pitt,
looked good
plays
last
well.
week, so it'll be a
Yeah.
chance for some guys to step up. The one area where Pitt usually has depth, they haven't the past couple of years, but I think they do a little bit this year, is that D line.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see what happens in this game.
and I'm excited to watch this Heinzel. I mean, yes, it was one game, so I'm not getting excited, but like obviously you see a true freshman put up that kind of performance, you want to see what he can do. So I'm that's kind of what I'm focusing on. Like Pitt as a collective this year. That's a Tomlin's phrase. As a collective, I'm not like super hyped about, but like if they come out of this and Mason Heinzel is like the guy going forward, and we feel like really confident in him, like I'd love that. I'd love
Yeah.
to come out of this season with that. Before I want to end this episode talking a little bit of Steelers. We've been going at it here for a while. We didn't want to talk some NFL games, but there was a lot of baseball we had to talk about, so we'll do some more NFL stuff next week. By the time we do this next podcast, they're going to face the Browns and the Bengals. Those are teams. I don't care. I don't want to hear this excuse about how it's AFC North football. These are bad football teams.
Yeah.
If you are for real, coming off a bye, you got to take care of business. Now, Tomlin on a short week for Thursday night against the Bengals. Tomlin's historically not good on a short week, but he's very good off a bye, especially earlier in the season. I think he's 9-1 when the bye is this early in the season. He's 9-1 straight up the week following the bye. So you got to come in and take care of business. I'm glad that the Browns aren't the Thursday night game because I'm more scared of the Browns because
But they have to travel on
Yeah.
Thursday night.
but
Now,
it's
remember
the Cincinnati. But the Browns
on the Cincinnati.
the Browns scare me more because of their defense. The Bengals, I don't know what they do well. Joe Flacco may be an upgrade for them, but I mean, is he going to survive behind that offensive line? I highly doubt it. So this defense has to take care of business against a rookie quarterback and a 40-year-old quarterback with that offensive line. And this offense has to be efficient, quick, short passing game, run the ball. Let's continue the momentum of running the ball. what I'm going to be interested to see is how this offense does against this Cleveland defense, because that scares me. And it'll be a preview to see how we're going to do against Green Bay's defense, the Chargers' defense, some of these better defenses in the league who have obviously are better teams. So they got to take care of business, and if they kind of BS these wins, like, I'm not going to feel great about them moving forward against because we know their schedule is going to get tougher as the season goes along.
Because then it would just be the same old kind of thing. It would be almost a carbon copy of last season.
And you have to look at it this way, too. With the injuries that are piling up, this division should be wide open. If the Steelers don't win this division, I know we talk about it yearly, you have to question Tomlin for next year. I mean, this is the season you have to win the division. There is no excuse. The Ravens.
You can put the Ravens at 1-5. They are not going to lose to the Rams. They're not going to beat the Rams on Sunday.
And it's just this is wide open. Like you have to win the division. You have to make a statement this season. I mean, if you go 10-7 with how your division has started, and you don't win the division, I mean 10-7 honestly might win the division. But either way, like you in my opinion, you have to be an 11-12 win team that easily wins this division.
This conference,
Yeah. I mean,
the Bills look fraudulent. The Chiefs have struggled.
This is a year where there's no, we can build off for next year. There's none of that. You don't have a plan for quarterback right now after Rodgers. I love Will Howard. I love his motive. But he's a backup quarterback, and he's going to be a good backup quarterback for a while. He's not going to be the future of this team. You have Jalen Ramsey, who knows when he's going to decline. Cornerbacks decline at a sharp rate. We see Darrelle Revis, who went from a Pro Bowler cornerback to 2 years out of the NFL. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no tomorrow with this team. You have to have a great season, and if you don't, there's no building off next year, because next year, who knows? I mean, this, like we've mentioned whenever we're talking about college, these quarterbacks haven't been that impressive. We don't know how many quarterbacks are going to be drafted in the first round, let alone available for the Steelers to take if any really start to step up. I mean, this is the opportunity to go 5-1, to make a statement early on and win the division.
Now, the good thing for the Ravens, it's very interesting. So
they have a bye. Next week.
Yeah.
They need a bye.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, I'm looking at their schedule, and if they get healthy and they get right, they can play the Steelers twice, obviously, but you play the Bears at home, you're at the Dolphins, at the Vikings with who knows what's going on, at the Browns, Jets, Bengals, Patriots at home. You finish at the Packers, but those, if they're at full strength, you figure that's a lot of wins. Mm-hmm. Now, will they get to full strength? But even at full strength, their defense looked really bad for some reason, but I mean, they're already at 4 losses. I saw on 93.7 The Fan, they were doing this. It was a great segment. Going through, they have 4 losses now. You figure they lose to the Rams, that's 5. You figure they lose 1 game to the Steelers. Usually the teams go 1-1.
Yeah.
So that'd be 6. Are they going to win every game, and are they going to win at the Packers? That could be 7 already. So you're looking at the most, maybe. And at the Vikings, who knows? Who knows?
I mean, but the good news for the Ravens, with this uncertainty with the Steelers, and we know the Bengals and Browns are bad football teams, and with the conference just kind of being kind of shakier than usual, they can win 9-10 games and sneak in as that fourth. The AFC North, whoever wins the division is probably going to be the 4th seed.
Yeah.
And then, or even if you don't win, if the Steelers win the division, you can sneak in as a 6th or 7th seed. So, even if they go 1-5 into the bye, there's still some hope. Obviously, it's not ideal, but if you get Lamar in the playoffs healthy, you always have a chance.
Well, I'm looking at you count the teams. I think we look in the East, Bills and I think the Patriots are going to make it now. I think.
Yeah.
Jake Bell 2-0 on his upset picks.
Yeah, these are some great picks, but that's 2 there. AFC North team. You got the Colts for sure. We'll see if anybody else. And then you got 3 teams in the West who could vie for it.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. With the I was talking about the Texans this week too, because I think there's some upside with them too. Only at 2-3. There's a lot of teams you can write off in the AFC already. Not counting the Ravens. There's a lot of teams you can.
I mean, the team we all thought was going to easily win, the Texans. I mean, I know they had that big win against the Ravens, but overall, I mean, the Colts could win that division, winning 10 games. I mean, unless the Jaguars continue what they're doing.
The Colts.
That's no guarantee.
Well,
the AFC South looks like one of the best divisions. For time's sake, we're going to have to
Okay.
not talk too much
I think
NFL.
you should hold off because I think you were going to say some negative things about the Jaguars. I mean their defense looks real.
Yeah, but there's going to be some regression. They lead the league in takeaways.
That's true.
It's a lot of Steelers.
But they should have beat the
BS.
Bengals. Like they could easily still be 4-1. Like they should have beat the Bengals on the road. And I mean, I'm looking at this.
I don't trust Trevor Lawrence long term. I don't.
I mean, this is a prove it year for him. Like, in
I mean,
all
if
honesty,
he plays the way he's been playing, I mean, they
He hasn't
they
been
could
that
easily be a
good. He
playoff
really.
team.
I mean, they got
He's been
outgained
okay.
by the Chiefs so much, and they have that 99-yard pick six, and just a lot of, I don't know, it's just been a very fluky start for them.
That's like some of that
But-
you're just like you got to give credit to the Jaguars for doing.
No,
that.
I mean, I think they're a better team, but, like, are they better than the Colts? No.
No, I don't. Nobody's saying that. But could they vie for a playoff spot?
Well, right, yeah, they're 4-1. I'm just saying, like, I'm just not bought into them as a real contender.
Well, I don't think they're a real contender. I don't think anybody. But I think they could.
But I mean, if they have
Make a
if they have a
wild
good
card.
season, that's huge for that organization.
1
'cause
year
you'll
late
take a
for
big,
me. 1 year late because I picked them to win the division.
Yeah, I think that's
last
why I
year.
don't like them, because they were so bad last year.
You
I thought
gotta
they
give
would be
credit to
good.
Liam Cohen because
Yeah.
people were
Liam Cohen, yeah.
people were
Yeah.
disrespecting him. We make a lot about those opening press conferences. His was a little goofy as well.
Yeah.
Like some things he was like, the Duval. But I mean, he's done a very nice job, and I like what he's brought. I think they've been a little bit more innovative offensively. Give the ball to ETN a lot,
yeah, and he's been good. Like, he's been.
but
a
then I
good
got to
back.
figure out this Brian Thomas. They got to give him the ball more.
Travis
obviously.
Hunter should just play offense. Like,
Yeah,
he's not getting involved enough.
Or you mean defense?
No,
They're
bro,
all-
he's not getting involved in the offense. Like, he should be on that offense. I don't
Well, I mean,
I don't know how good he is as a defender right now, but, like,
Well, he was known as like a lockdown corner.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him enough to see what's going on.
but it's tough though because like now you kind of have to limit snaps with him on both sides of the ball. Or would you rather that, or would you rather have him like fully on one side of the ball, playing at his best, getting a bunch of snaps, getting a bunch of opportunities?
I'd honestly rather have him on the defensive side. Like if they can
Yeah.
get Brian Thomas' situation figured out, because
Right.
I think they have enough skill players.
And having a great cornerback, especially somebody you draft early, that's rare. Like, and that's something that's huge. I mean, like if you have a lockdown cornerback that can play at a Pro Bowl, All Pro level, that sets you apart completely.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, the Steelers. I agree, Peyton. They got to leave no doubt these next 2 games.
and they always have problems closing out games. We saw they'll dominate for 3 quarters, and yet they just make some stupid decisions, and they let a team back in. Like, they need to close out these bad teams. They need to close them out. We don't want any heart attacks over the next 5 days, from Sunday to Thursday.
Now we want to talk about the Eagles, right, a little bit, just to touch on them because they look
Yeah.
fraudulent.
We can end with that.
Now it's so funny. All these prognosticators, the Lions the Lions are done. They're
Yeah, after
those
the
coordinator.
first game, yeah.
Everybody,
The Eagles are the
Um,
ones with the coordinator problem offensively, not the
Yeah.
Lions.
and now everybody's got them one in their power rankings out of the Lions. They're real quiet right now. Oh, the Lions are a great team. Well, we after one game you wrote them off completely. Like literally, some of them are like they're not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
They said.
I was one of those people.
Well,
But you were before the first game.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you hopped on
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
bandwagon.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, after what? Yeah, I hate these. They overreact after the first game and see. Like, we gotta calm down. Like the Florida State Alabama thing. Everybody's making a big deal. We're making such a big deal, and now we see how Alabama's playing. They're if they played again, Alabama win by 3 scores.
Yeah.
That's my. I mean, Miami should have won by 3. They were up 28-3, and we're cruising. So, but the Eagles, yeah, something's just off. They targeted A.J. Brown a bunch and got him the ball a bunch, and they actually look worse.
They're force feeding it to him because he's unhappy, and that's not their identity. Their identity is running the ball.
Why are they not running the ball with Saquon Barkley?
But Saquon, I mean, they haven't. Their offensive line is missing some people.
That's
and
your
I think
identity.
I think
Yeah.
that's hurting their run game. And look, this is why Jalen Hurts isn't considered elite. He's not a guy who's going to read the middle of the field and stick in the pocket and make big throws. He's very accurate and he's very athletic. That's why he's a good quarterback. But he's not.
He's not better than
That's
Dak
why
Prescott.
his receivers aren't. His receivers are not happy with him because the play's open, and then he always tries to elaborate and do extra stuff, and that's what makes him good. Like he kind of reminds me of Russell Wilson a little bit in his prime. Obviously, Jalen Hurts.
In his prime, Russell Wilson?
Yeah,
Russell Wilson.
good deep ball. But Russ has never been a pocket quarterback, and that's what's hurt him later in his career. His legs are much better.
Well, Russ, he didn't start throwing for more touchdowns until he had the kind of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett receiver duo, where it was just much. But at the same time, the Eagles, they have a really good receiving core too. So that's like,
Wilson,
I mean, that's give or take. I guess.
That's good.
I think you can argue he was a much better passer overall, but like in terms of like using their legs to make plays. Like, that's what it reminds me of. And I feel like when Jalen's legs go, he's not going to be the same.
Is much better.
Yeah, but I think Jalen's very accurate. But they got to get back to the bread and butter. I think this Kevin Patullo, Nick Sirianni with his,
the coordinator,
his homeboy coordinator hire.
He's somebody who needs good coordinators.
He might, right. Because what does he do? He doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of coaching in the NFL. Like Dan Campbell, like doesn't really do anything, but like he's fun and he doesn't cry on the side. He's not like arrogant like that. Like so, I like Dan Campbell more. Plus, I think like he's just a better like at what he's good at. I think he's just better. Like Nick Sirianni, I just don't know. Like I was surprised they won the Super Bowl last year because I'm not a fan of his.
No.
Obviously, we were like beefing last season about that, but I like agree. Like, I don't think he does anything spectacularly anyway.
I think we could say that Shane Steichen is a better coach right now than Nick Sirianni.
This season, he might be.
Hey.
Yeah.
Shane Steichen. It's early,
you owe an apology.
I owe you an apology. No, but I just didn't think I said he was good.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I wasn't proved like. He was such an offensive mastermind, Anthony Richards, but Anthony Richards is a unique case where he's just
that's what I was saying.
He's been awful his whole career.
Who knows? Maybe Steichen just needed Daniel Jones to become relevant. I don't know.
No, but I gotta give
no, absolutely, yeah.
To Shane Steichen.
100%.
This is like you gotta give major props to Shane
100%.
For
I agree.
This team looks like so. I apologize, Shane Steichen. I do.
We need to clip that too, like just like the before and after.
We gotta clip some of my better moments too.
But here's the good thing for the Eagles.
All my negatives are getting shown. My picks.
Here's the good news for the Eagles. If they can fix their coordinator issue and not have A.J. Brown be a distraction and get back to Saquon eating, they're going to be in the same position they were last year. But there's the other side of that is if they don't fix their issues, it's going to be the same thing as 2 years ago when they started off great, but it's kind of seemed fraudulent, and then all of a sudden, it just went downhill. Now, it's still very early in the season, and the Eagles look kind of fraudulent in the beginning of the year, this year, and then now we're finally seeing the issues now that they're losing.
It's just crazy, like one half to the other, the discrepancy too. Like sometimes they're great in the first, like against the Bucs, they were tremendous. They look like the best team of football in the first half. Look like one of the worst in the second half. To a lesser extent, this game on Thursday night. I mean, they were pretty good, but the Giants were still in it.
And the big thing with the Eagles is their defense. Like they were having the mojo on and off. That's a Jalen issue. I feel like. Because sometimes he's really on or he's really off. He's one of the most shaky players in the league. Like, he could be so good and then just do absolutely nothing. Like, you don't know what you're, like with Mahomes, Burrow, you know what you're getting all the time with those guys. Hurts, you don't really know what you're getting a lot of the time. And when he wasn't performing and they weren't running the ball of Saquon, their defense last year would win them games. And this defense, they lost a lot of key pieces, and you could just see, like, they can't – the offense has to be on point for a majority of the game for them to be an elite team. And that's going to start with Patullo getting his act together or getting a new coordinator and getting this run game going with Saquon. And you can't – A.J. Brown, I mean, I know it's a distraction, but they got through it last year. Like, they just have to do what's best for the team.
And it's funny mentioning Joe Burrow, like, me and my one friend were having sort of a debate. Like I'm a big Hurts. Like I'm more high on Hurts than I know you guys are. But I always said, like, whenever I was mentioning about like top 5 quarterbacks, I was like, well, I have Burrow over Hurts, and he was like, well, Hurts, like, he's more of a winner. I'm like, yeah, but look at Burrow with the Bengals. I mean, he literally every time Burrow made the playoffs, he performed very well, and they made it very far.
And I hate
he transforms that team. I mean, look at the team now.
Yeah.
I mean.
I hate when people say
The winning, winning, like that.
Well, no, I hate when people are saying now, Burrow, how can he be top 5? He always gets hurt. He's with the Bengals organization with their offensive line.
They weren't talking about that with Luck. They were saying, what could have happened? But now so
now Burrow isn't great just because he's hurt.
And some people, I think the winning thing is kind of a cop-out for not, paying attention to understanding the sport. Now more than ever, organizational leadership is crucial. And the situation Jalen Hurts was put in, compared to the situation Joe Burrow was put in, are so different. It's polar opposite situations.
I mean, Howie's the best GM in football.
And not only that, but Burrow literally his first, I call it his first full year as a starter because he was hurt his rookie season. His first full year as a starter, he made it to a Super Bowl on a team that was not very good. The year after, they do the same thing, and whenever he gets hurt, you just see them not perform well. And then obviously last year, they just had a historically bad defense. But there's only so much one quarterback can do. I mean, look at Drew Brees, how phenomenal he was. There were a lot of seasons where that team went 7-9.
Because of how bad their defense was. There was 3 years they won 7 in their games.
Yeah, and he's still regarded as a top 5 quarterback every single year. And that's the same situation with Burrow. He's I understand the cases with maybe Mahomes. If you want to put Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson over him, fine. But Burrow's easily a top 4 quarterback. I think that stands alone. This injury has proved that with how the Bengals have performed without him compared with him. If you put Joe Burrow on the Eagles, he wins the Super Bowl every single year. He probably has more Super Bowls than Mahomes has right now. It's just how it is.
Nate and I aren't discrediting what Jalen Hurts has done and what makes him special.
He's a great leader.
He's great. Yeah.
He's very unique in the type of quarterback he is.
Yeah.
And if you're blind if you're not saying there are some limitations.
Right.
There are some holes in his game.
Right.
Compared to some of these guys who are the whole package.
Well,
but that doesn't mean he's not a good quarterback. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, he's very good. I just don't he's not in the conversation of that top 5. You know?
I always put him in there just because I love him. But no, I get what you guys mean about
just outside
as a pure quarterback instead of I guess I get what you mean.
Yeah.
By the sort of limitation.
And looking at it this year, Dak Prescott's played much better. People always like to discredit Dak Prescott, who's been kind of in and out of the top 10, right around there, his whole career. You give Dak Prescott a lot of credit this season, and I don't hate Jalen Hurts. I really love his character. He's a very high character guy. It is kind of funny,
the only thing though, and I'm not saying I'm not saying it's because of his character, but I don't think because these other he's very to himself, and I don't think these receivers like AJ Brown and the whole offense. I think it's a little weird. I think there's something a little off with. I mean, why is AJ Brown being the way he is? I don't think it's just because he's not getting the ball. It's because I don't think there's a lot of good communication. I don't think Jalen Hurts.
He doesn't strike as a vibrant personality.
As someone who's constantly talking guys up on the sideline. That doesn't mean he's not a good leader. I mean, he's by example a great leader, and he has a good character. But I don't think he's a guy that everyone loves and embraces. Do you know what I mean? And that's not his fault. It's just his personality.
It's kind of like the Lions, especially Dan Campbell, how they really rally around Jared Goff. They love him there. I get what you mean by that. It's just a different.
Jared
thing.
Goff. Yeah. Don't be disrespecting Jared Goff either.
I mean, he's if he
or Baker. Baker's been great.
If Goff wins a Super Bowl, he's easily in the Hall of Fame conversation, in my opinion. Like how Stafford was whenever he won his.
A very important and beloved sports media personality said that that Jared Goff is a Hall of Fame.
Oh, I did forget about that. I did not mean to compare it to that, but that's just
I hate
the way
to
I
say
look
it.
at it.
I hate to put this on, but this individual also once said that Derek Carr could be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So I hope he doesn't go down the Derek Carr path.
So too,
I think he's more talented than Derek
for sure.
Carr.
Goff has many better.
I don't think it's a crazy take. It's just
Well, this individual also said, "Hey, LeBron."
Yeah, that's true.
Ben Simmons is here.
I'm sorry.
So we love.
I did not mean to quote Cowherd. I forgot that happened. So
we love Cowherd. We admire Cowherd.
Goff is fantastic. Assuming he's going to win a Super Bowl eventually.
I agree with this take.
Yeah, there hasn't been a quarterback to throw for 50,000 passing yards, especially assuming if they won a Super Bowl to not make the Hall of Fame. I assume Goff is going to get to 50,000 passing yards before it's all said and done. If he wins a Super Bowl, I think that's all but given.
All right, we got to end this episode. I don't know how. I'm used to it, because thank you to the CMI for having us here today. We couldn't do the media hub. They got new lighting in here, which is great.
Yep.
But I wasn't, because in the media hub they have like that timer, so I haven't been really keeping time.
We might be like in the hour 40 something range.
Yeah, it's been a long episode, but a lot of good talk. We'll talk. We'll talk more NFL next time.
I'm gonna like divide in this. I'm gonna like make this separate. Like I'll make separate videos because I got a bunch of time. I'll make separate videos so that people can, if they just want to go like one segment or something, we can have like a video for that. Or something.
Well, I'm sure the viewers are going to be very happy about that. Thank you all so much for listening. We are Family 40.
50? Are we 50?
49.
Or we're 49.
Next episode is 50.
Okay, that's a good thing this isn't 50.
We may have some surprises.
Say it's a good thing today wasn't 50.
We may have to have some surprises in store for episode 50.
We might.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Here we go, Steelers.